Okay. I just did. I don't know. It had to be. It must have been 10 minutes of it. I wasn't looking, and a neighbor knocked on the door, and so I stopped, and I thought I would pick up where I left off, but it's gone. So I guess they're doing this again. And that's lesson number 324. But I really feel like I've talked to you about this all already, and there's not much left to say. Lesson 324, I merely follow, for I would not lead. Um, it would be arrogant. It would be arrogant for anyone, you or I know, to try to tell you they knew how to go beyond the world of space and time and fulfill their function. It's not arrogant to recognize through experiences of allowing oneself to hear the voice for God, to know with certainty from the experiences that are given, that come with the following of the guidance. It's quite possible, and I'm going to use myself as an example. When I read this lesson, I merely follow, for I would not lead. Since my initial awakening, since the initial experience that I had, since the initial revelation of the Father and Son being one, and my ability, Jesus' ability, and whoever else guides me, his ability to get through this thick head. Quite frankly, because I saw that I had no ability to lead myself within the world of space and time, let alone how to get out of here or beyond it. And that's when I gave up trying to lead my own way. And at some point in time, we have to do that. Yet we have to utilize the same power that allowed us to make decisions to lead our way is the power of mind and decision that we use to follow in the way that is given to us by the voice for God in God's appointed way to salvation and the fulfillment of our function as we play the role that is given to us in this final sojourn for many of us, if not all of us. I know this has a conclusion in the sense that the dream of space and time disappears some way in which allows us to only recognize the reality that we've never not been whole and perfect in and are even now. Now, how I know that is through experiences. Father, Father, you are the one who gave the plan for my salvation. That became obvious to me in the moment that I was saved, because obviously the way that I was following, that was me making the decisions, was definitely not the way of salvation. Okay? Luckily, it was the way that showed me that it was not the way to salvation. So when salvation was offered to me, I knew in my mind that I didn't know the way. Okay? I merely follow, for I would not lead. Now, there's the other part about this is there's a good line that says, my brothers all can follow in the way I lead them. Okay? Now, I'm certain in the way in which I'm going. I have no idea how it occurs. I've been given vision. I have certainty in it. I get, and this is what I was trying to say in the first part that we don't have. There's a way in which you can come to understand that you're fulfilling your function by utilizing the reflection that you're getting in the projected imagery to allow you to understand that what is occurring is in line with the will of God. And the decisions that you're making are reflective of the respect and understanding and the willingness to follow the guidance that you are receiving within your own heart and mind. Because things begin to match up. You know, sometimes we talk about them as synchronicities. Things begin to match up and your heart is gladdened for no reason except you know within why. Because you've aligned and converged with the will of God. The light that you are has aligned and converged with the light of everything. And the joy that you were created in and as is rekindled within your experience. You have set the way I am to go, the role to take in every step in my appointed path. Okay. Now, all I would have to do is learn how to utilize the appointed way and the steps that are given to me along the path that I can follow and how I follow them. Yet we must embark. I don't know. It's like the proof is in the pudding, and that's the difference between the way the course is written and the way these are merely concepts until they're applied, until they prove to you to be true. And in the experience of the truth of what occurs, the concept begins to take on the light of the reality that you're experiencing because it matches up. The utilization of the concept allows an experience to occur in your mind and your heart, which proves that it's trustworthy, and therefore there's an authority behind it that's not of this world. Okay? That's my function and my purpose. I've come here for the salvation of the world. I no longer choose to die. And when we begin to understand that the one decision that we're always making is for the recognition of the singular and whole nature of creation and our reality, because there's only one problem, there's only one solution: separation. And the only solution to separation is not the concept that we are not separate, but the release of yourself from all concepts that keep you from having the experience or keep your mind and your heart separate from the soul and spirit of who you are as it is joined in reality with everything that has already been created and will always be part of who you are as you are part of it. Okay? I can lose the way. That's obvious. Okay? To many of you at this point in time, it must be obvious that you could lose the way. Okay? It would be arrogant at this point in time in your experience of who you are, okay? Even if you have been found and are on the way, and you know how to utilize your mind and heart to maintain your footing on that path, it would be arrogant having had to learn how to do that, okay? That you can lose the way, okay? Okay. It's arrogant that we could have lose the way, okay? So I cannot lose the way here. If every step is pointed along the way, and I've learned, now I can no longer lose the way. Why? Because we recognize that we can lose the way, and we position ourselves in a manner that recognizes we can lose the way on one side of the split, but desires to not lose the way on the other. So keeps our mind and heart open so that the way can be shown to us, okay? Now, that's how we learn to operate, because we no longer want to lose the way. Obvious that we had. There's I don't know how. Each and every one of us has a bottom that we rise up from. We get to a point where we've so lost that there's no longer the ability to be lost. We lose the ability to be lost, much as the course teaches. Much as the course teaches, we lose. The only thing you can lose is loss. Okay, we lose the ability to be lost because we get so profoundly lost that finally there's no place left to go in our own heart and mind. When we cry out, we receive an answer. And we give that answer the import and the respect and the welcome that is required in order to demonstrate our willingness to continue to follow in the way. That's where the action of prayer. I don't know how to. I wouldn't know how to talk. Okay, we're there. So I mean, that's where the action of prayer is. That's where the action of joining our heart and our mind with that which we're already joined with occurs. And in the experience that we receive from that, the ease and desirability for that to become our natural state begins to be made aware of, begins to enter into our awareness, okay? Now, it does not mean that we will stay in that state, but it does mean that we will return to that state. And part of the reason that we cannot stay in that state is because there's much to do here in our ability to correct all the errors in the descent as we ascend unto our Father. Okay? The other thing is, if we just stayed in a transcendent state, and I don't know if this is going to make sense, if you just stayed in this transcendent state of you would never be sure entirely that the world of space and time was unreal, because you wouldn't utilize your heart and mind in the ways and understandings that are received in the transcendence to demonstrate to yourself experientially the unreality of the illusion when reality has been recognized, okay? Because this isn't an extraction from the world of space and time. Obviously, because the world of space and time being a projection of our mind, we take our mind with us wherever we go. It is an integration of the light that we are back into our awareness, and then the utilization of that awareness to integrate our being, ourself, back into the totality of the awareness of who we are in creation and how we function without the necessity for concepts or any sort of dream of materiality. I cannot lose the way, but I can choose to wander off a while and then return. Okay? But do you see how they would work together when we become aware of what we're doing? The proof that we cannot lose the way is in our ability to recognize that we wander off from the way. Okay? Now it's saying now we cannot lose the way. Because we're using, Jesus would say in the Course, use the forgetting to remember. Okay? It's the same idea as that. And then the other reason why we cannot lose the way, and this is something, I think I'm given to say this now, even though it may be off the point. Because of the nature of space and time and the sacrificial aspects of it, and the conscious sacrificial aspects of the consciousness that we utilize to be spatial and temporal. Okay? There's a temptation to think that you can lose what you've been given, the things you love. Okay? Like you can have something one day and it be gone the next day. Okay? What is given by God is not that way. And the experiences that you have along the way as you fulfill your function and walk this path are not taken away from you, although there's going to be a temptation in your mind to think that you've done something wrong, so you've been so you're being punished by being I don't know how to say this, okay, by not being able to access. So we have these experiences, and they bring light, and they bring love, and they bring understanding, and they bring certainty of who we are, okay? And we live within the afterglow of that for however long the afterglow lasts. And then all of a sudden, bang, we're back seemingly in the world of space and time. Something occurs and that seems to be gone. The temptation is to think we did something wrong and then God's taken that away. And that's the human, and that's the ego. That's how the ego functions and what it wants you to believe. It's never been taken away. It's there, and yet here's a new lesson that will allow you a further integration of a larger understanding or general, and the ability to generalize what you learn. Okay, so instead of lamenting the loss of the experience, utilize the feeling that you're getting at the point where you would have lamented it. Utilize that as a way to remember that the experience came with an understanding, and the understanding must now begin to be a way for you to operate in space and time, so as for you to integrate the light of that experience to the point where you're capable of opening to even a larger or more generalized experience of the single lesson, that the fact that we're not separate from our reality. I can choose to wander off for a while and then return. Your loving voice will always call me back and guide my feet aright. My brothers all can follow in the way I lead them, yet I merely follow in the way to you as you direct me and would have me go. Okay, and this is an interesting thing about the way in which we follow after we've had the experience, the way in which we both lead and follow after we've had the experience of being guided in the ways to salvation by one who knows. So let us follow one who knows his way. When we follow in the way of one who knows, it's not a hierarchical following in the sense of one leading someone who does not know. It's a miraculous joining to a certainty that now that we both know together, we go on together. We share the following as we continue to be led along the way. So it's not truly to represent. How could you not? It makes me laugh. Someone who's had a real experience of what it is I'm speaking of knows the equality of his brother at every single level, because he recognizes in his brother at every single level everything about himself that he would require to recognize, both to know who he is in reality and to utilize to forgive himself for the way I've thought in my own thinking. Okay? So there's a recognition of man and mankind and the equality of that and the brotherhood of man and mankind, joined as the utilization of the one mind and heart as Christ. We all are that. All our foibles are formulated the same way, and all our foibles are healed in the same manner. And they may look seemingly distinct, but that's just merely the fragmentation of a single error in an attempted ego to hide it in a myriad of ways, so as for us not to see beyond it and recognize that there is someone who knows that we can follow, and it's not the ego. Okay, so let us follow one who knows the way. We need not tarry, and we cannot stray except an instant from his loving hand. And please don't let proponents of the old rugged cross and a brand of Christianity that doesn't include the joy of the journey. Don't let sacrifice be part of the journey, because you can't take this journey sacrificially. You must take it by free choice and enjoy, because the journey is one back to the freedom and joy which we were created to be. Okay? We walk together, for we follow him. And it is he who makes the ending sure and guarantees a safe returning home. And this is one thing I spoke about earlier that we didn't get. I want everybody to begin to speak about the experience they're having of the certainty that we do return home. I mean, I may fool around, but the certainty that we return home was what my salvation is. Not that I just did that there is an end to what never was, and a recognition that, precludes the ability for dreaming to ever have been for all of us. And I'm serious about that. I cannot be saved without you being saved, and I know I'm saved, so I know you are saved, because when I saw the end of dreaming and the awakening of the return to God, everything and everyone was there with me. Now, don't ask me to identify you individually in that. All I'm telling you, there was no missing parts. My heart was full with the joy of returning of all of man and mankind, for the salvation of all of man and mankind, and I was relieved that I was part of it. And I'm here to remind you, and it is he who makes the ending sure and guarantees the safe returning home. Believe me. Believe me. Now, it's better that you believe Jesus by allowing yourself to have the experience that is beyond belief. And you can do that. You can get beyond belief by recognizing that it is merely a belief, but you want the proof. Now, the proof will be given to you when you learn to ask correctly. That's the nature of A Course in Miracles, and that's why it's important. Because we can train our minds to ask correctly so as to always receive the answer that allows us to recognize that this is true. We all returned safe to home. We all returned safely to home already, and in fact never left. I'm sure of that. I may not know how that occurs, but I follow in the way of someone who has had it occur for him and to him, with my certainty that when I do, I will get the result of the vision of having done it that was given to me, that leads me. And I know you are there with me, because I could not do this and be as happy as I am in the experience without the recognition that no one gets left behind.